What's up, everybody? You've got Brent Bowers from Mutantville.com. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about a film that most of you probably haven't seen. It's in the Nazi sleazeploitation subgenre. I guess it's from 1977. It's called HellCamp, SS HellCamp, more commonly referred to as Beast in Heat. A couple of the other aliases for the film: Horrifying Experiments of the SS Last Days, SS Experiment Camp 2. I don't know, so it's bizarre. I'm going to read you the summary to sort of get that out of the way so I can get into talking about my thoughts about this film and Nazi exploitation in general, because this one was really kind of interesting. This is one of many so-called video nasties, and that's actually where I started on this. I've kind of gotten my hands on every film on the video nasties list. I'm just curious about what got them there. So of course it's the greatest advertisement for these long lost videos from the 80s, that most of which never made it to a broad release or never made it to DVD. So I'm just trying to go back and just check out ones that catch my interest. My poster collecting has sort of led me to some of the films on this list as well. So I just want to find out what the fuss was all about, and that's kind of where I'm at on that. But anyway, so here it is. It's about a fictionalized World War II Nazi POW camp and atrocities that went on there. A beautiful, nefarious senior female SS officer creates a genetic mutant human beast, half man, half beast. The beast is rapacious and squat mongoloid sex fiend. Okay, apparently this doesn't have proper grammar, my bad. And I think actually this summary is given a lot more credit than the actual story does. And a lot of this stuff here is their interpretation, clearly. Basically, he's fed a diet of mega aphrodisiacs, which is just a bizarre way to create a monster. But they use him to torture female prisoners to try to, I guess, get information of them. But really, it's just about the spectacle. Okay, so the film itself, I don't know. It's just like the Nazi subgenre. If there was a a political group of people that were richly deserving of just being openly mocked, the Nazis were it for sure. And obviously, you can imagine how Italians feel about the Nazis, given World War II history. The really interesting thing is that they basically use film as a format to satirize these people that did all these atrocities. To me, it's a lot like a Mel Brooks production. He does a skit. He stands up with a Nazi uniform and Hail Hitler and all this, but he's a buffoon. So there's the satire. All these Nazi characters in this film are, I mean, you can see their comeuppance coming a really long way, and it's very, very obvious. And they're all act as if they think there's superior intellect, master race, whatever. And even you don't even have to pay attention to see it coming. I mean, they all get just exactly what you expect in this film. It's decent. The cinematography is quite decent in this film. There are some things that I find interesting that were left into the film. In particular, there's several big battle sequences where it seemed like they had plenty of shots to edit, but then they'll just throw in a totally blurry shot, like clearly the cinematographer didn't have the right distance set for his his lens or whatever, and it's just completely blurry. And I noticed this throughout the film. Now, as far as the gore, there's actually quite a bit. I'd say quite a bit of poorly executed gore. More sadism really than gore, but what gore there is it's effective. There's some things that are so sadistic that really, I mean, I just found myself wanting to turn away from it, and in fact I did turn away in a couple places. I mean, it's not like it was a great special effect or anything. It's just it seemed like it was a bit indulgent at times, and I mean, that draws certain people to this kind of film and repulses certain people. I found myself somewhere in the middle. I want to see what the fuss is about. When I see it, I'm just like imagining how they talk to actor into putting up with that or doing that, and ultimately, if it's too goofy, it takes me out of the story, which is the case with this film. But in general, you know, like if you think about the film Hellboy and just how intriguing the whole Nazi mysticism and search for, you know, occult power, you know, was in that whole story, that applies to the whole Nazi subgenre for me. It's interesting, and I want to see if it ever goes anywhere beyond the obvious. You know, torturing naked women, you know, or, you know, in the case of this film, men too, which Johnny Brento does not, repeat, does not co-sign man junk on screen anytime ever, not. So I got to give that just a big in this film. But anyway, moving right along, it's if you're into that subgenre, you probably should take a look at this film. It does have a small story that runs through it. It's not very complex. The underground where they're around this camp where they're performing these experiments, they're basically, you know, battling the Nazis any way they can, and ultimately they have a big, you know, showdown in the end, as you can imagine. I don't think that's a spoiler, but yeah, check it out if you're into Nazi sleazeploitation. I didn't think it was horrible. It was a long way from being good, but it definitely was watchable and you know, intriguing that they thought this film, you know, and the way they approached it and whatnot would be effective. It's effective on some levels, not on others. You know, it's competently made with a few exceptions to, like I said, the cinematography. But you know, hey, it's this is the first one I'm checking out from the Video Nasties, and I got to say, with this one, I do see why it was banned. So you know, take that as you will and decide whether you want to check it out. But for me, I found it interesting and really just kind of drove home the whole, you know, satire that is Nazi sleazeploitation. Okay, guys, until next time, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/MutantVillePlayers, and as always, stay tuned to MutantVille.com. Thanks.